Yeah, man, we got to talk about this Cardinals pitching thing because the first week was really great. The first week of the season was really great in just about every facet. But today you got a glimpse at what it would look like if, well, half your pitching staff turned out to not be very good. And I know this is just one game, but you had a starting pitcher really struggle, and it was like from the jump, Eric Fetty really struggled. Mm-hmm. And then Steven Matz wasn't as sharp this time. The rest of the bullpen, I mean, John King was getting hit around. Fernandez, I mean, he has regressed. I expect Fernandez might actually have to spend some time in Memphis this year, which is something that was not the case last year because he was a Rule 5 pickup, so they couldn't send him down. But now, rather than like him grabbing hold of a setup role and kind of helping you replace Andrew Kittredge, he's sort of struggling with command. He's letting guys go on walks. The walks are killing him. And yeah, he could be regressing to a point where you're like, all right, what is this Cardinals pitching staff? Just the same way we shouldn't overreact to the first week being so good and smooth, I don't think you should overreact to today being so dreadful, but it was dreadful to watch. And if it's replicated down the road, you're going to have a lot of situations where you say, well, we got to outslug teams to beat them, and we're hitting a lot, so maybe we can do that, win every game 8-7. But when you give up 13 runs, you can't win every game 8-7.
No.
So it's going to be tough.
You got to have some sort of foundation, right? The rotation has to have at least a few guys that can give you some length. And look, Eric Fetty looked great in his first start. 6 innings, 1 run allowed, 2 hits, and it didn't walk anybody there. Today, though, it got away from him. Maybe Boston found something out. They got to tell, whatever it might have been.
Maybe they have better players than the Twins do.
And maybe they just woke up. Like, I remember listening on the Boston broadcast, the color analyst saying, this is more like it. This is a lot more like it. Like, I think they expected this to be how they started, and maybe they just didn't have the type of offense that they were expecting in the first week. But once they come home and they get the Green Monster and everything like that, they're fine. And they score 13 runs. Maybe that's just it. But it seemed today that when they didn't have that type of start, sometimes you see, the bullpen come in and really settle things down. Like we saw
You do sometimes see that.
Yeah, and Steven Matz, sometimes. Like the last time he came in, like it got that 4-inning save and was able to hold things down towards the end. And but this time, nobody had it. Nobody seemed to have it against this lineup. So
I don't think Roycroft gave up any runs, but he only got
he had one out.
An out or two.
He had a third of an inning. But.
And he walked somebody and gave up a hit. So.
Oh, great.
He almost
cleaned up John King's mess, essentially.
John King wasn't sharp, was he?
No.
And look, all weekend and all week I was going, more so in the Angels series, I was going, where's John King? Like, I know the Angels have a lot of righties, and maybe it's just not a great matchup for him against that team, but he's got to get out there eventually. Well, he's not getting lefties out. He's not getting anybody out today. 4 hits allowed, a walk allowed, and he gave up a couple of runs. Yep, that's tricky, man. And let me do a little exercise with you, Andy. Let's play a little game here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I want to read you 9 names of a Twins lineup and 9 names of a Red Sox lineup, and you tell me what you think might have happened between why the Cardinals were able to sweep one team and give up 13 runs to the other. You want to play this? Will be fun. Here I go. Okay. I'm just going to rattle it off 1 through 9.
Yeah.
Matt Wallner. All right, whatever. Carlos Correa. Good track record.
Name.
Byron Buxton, pretty good player. Yeah. Trevor Larnach, Ty France.
Fine.
Mickey Gasper.
Who?
I don't know who that is. Willie Castro, Jose Miranda, Christian Vasquez. All right, that's the first lineup. And this is a blind taste test, right? I'm not going to tell you which team's which.
Yeah.
You just have to go on vibes here.
Haven't done any homework before this.
Yeah. That was Team A. This is Team
all
B.
Right. Yeah, sure.
We'll say Team B is going to be highlighted in red for no particular reason.
Okay. Oh.
Jaron Duran, Rafael Devers, Alex Bregman, Tristan Casas, Trevor Story, Wilyer Abreu, Christian Campbell, the $60 million man, Carlos Narvaez, Ceden Rafaela. Which lineup
I heard more baseball players in that lineup.
more baseball players and fewer 19.
Gaspar?
Mickey Gasper's got to be part of the Charlie Chaplin silent movie crew. Something going on with that. This guy's like a 1920s film star in the silent age. Okay, I don't know. But the Red Sox lineup is the second one I read, and that's the team that scored 13 against the Cardinals today. Yeah. Maybe they're playing better teams now is my concern for Cardinal pitching. You tell me if I'm overreacting to that potential.
I mean, I think the Red Sox are winning that division. But
I think the Red Sox they're figuring it out. Yeah, they're going to be okay.
They're going to be just fine wherever they go. But the thing is, you want to at least see a better start to the series, and I get it. Like, this was Boston's day. They have a home opener. They've got all of their fans ready to go for their first game here, and it happens. Cardinals just got bitten by that bug, but it didn't. It wasn't necessarily a promising sign to see that from multiple pitchers, right? It's
the pitching. Look, we could spend the day talking about, dude, they got 5 off of Walker Buehler. They kept on it. They scored 9 runs in the game. Ivan Herrera's going to win the MVP as long as you give him enough bats in the NL MVP race.
Right.
Like, you have to give him the at-bats to get there. He's not going to qualify for statistical categories if you don't. But the pitching. Let's play another game, Andy. I'm just going to read you the names of the Cardinal bullpen right now. And you tell me if you're confident in that player to have a good season.
Okay, all right.
Very simple.
Sure.
Just, are you confident? What's your confidence level? Ryan Helsley.
Am I ranking this? No,
I'm just asking you if you're confident. I'm just like, you
very confident to somewhat confident to indifference, and it's that type of
Can Ryan Helsley go fill his role this year and do a good job?
Yes.
Of course he can.
Yeah.
How about Ryan Fernandez?
And again, his role is... indifferent. Yeah, no.
His role is supposed to be now kind of elevated to like 7th, 8th inning guy. I'm going to say he might be getting the vote of no confidence.
You got to pitch some 5th and 6th innings when you're down 4 runs and do well in that role before you start getting trusted.
You can't have 5 guys doing that, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true.
As we go through this bullpen, you can't have 5 middle relievers. You need some that you trust in the moments that matter.
Right.
We've got one, Ryan Helsley, that we've identified.
That's good.
Fernandez, we're iffy on. How about John King?
Yeah, that's also maybe a little bit on the bottom side of indifferent.
Iffy at best. Kyle Leahy, maybe on the better side.
I feel a little better, but I don't want to give him in the 7th yet.
No, he's the middle relief guy that has done well in his role. But
well, guess what? You've been promoted, Kyle Leahy. Congratulations.
I don't know if I'm confident in that. In Kyle Leahy being the middle reliever, I'm confident in that. In him plugging for 2 innings when they need it, I think he can get it done. I don't know that he's going to be your setup man. And if he's tasked with that, we might have some issues. How about this one? Phil Maton.
Yeah, he can be pretty good. Yeah, I think
he could be a good 7th and get into the 8th inning mix. He could be okay.
Yeah.
Jojo Romero? Okay.
I also feel somewhat solid with that, but maybe not as much as Maton.
And maybe not as much as even last year as I did with JoJo, just because from year to year. How about this one? Chris Roycroft. I think a week ago I'd have said, look out for this guy. And now I'm going, buddy.
I don't know.
It's been mixed returns so far. So, and then Steven Matz is the other guy that's in that bullpen right now, and he's supposed to be a starter. I'm looking at that group going, all right, if you had a big 3 last year, if you're big 3 this year, and look, they relied and rode those 3 guys. You've taken Kittredge out of that mix. Mm-hmm. JoJo is still in it, and you still trust Helsley. But, I don't know that Ryan Fernandez is up for stepping into it, at least right now. He's got to get the command honed in, and maybe he'll do that. But it's kind of a mixed bag at this point where you're going, if your big 3 is Helsley, Maton, and JoJo, is that enough when your other 5 kind of are underperforming middle relievers right now? Or Kyle Leahy, who's actually performing well as a middle reliever, but that's not the most valuable role in your pen? Yeah. That's scary. And Eric Fetty gave up 6 today too, so you're going to need that bullpen.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You're going to need that bullpen to carry the load.
Or just hope for a whole lot of 6-inning starts, which, they got them the first week, but haven't gotten them all that consistently in the past years.
They could use 6-inning starts. They need every start to be a 5+ inning start. You can't have very many of today. They're just getting, firebombed for 3 innings.
Yeah. Because now you've spent max at Matz, and you got to try and work it. I guess the silver lining is that the Red Sox bullpen also got kind of worked today. So maybe for the rest of the series.
And they played yesterday, too.
Right, they played yesterday. And the fact that the Cardinals fought well at the end, scored 3 runs in the 9th, got the tying run up to the plate, and made the Red Sox spend Aroldis Chapman. So maybe that helps a little bit. But I don't know. You do have just a blueprint of, is there just a run total that you got to get to most games in order to feel good about winning consistently? Not what you
thought that was going to be the way they were built last year before the season. We said they'll have to outslug teams because look at the staff they built. They built guys that will take the ball and they'll eat what for some of those innings if they have to, and you're going to wake up in the 6th inning, and they got you through that 6th inning, but they also gave up 5 runs in the process, so you're going to need to score 6 to beat the other team and have an impeccable bullpen. They had the impeccable bullpen last year. They didn't have the offense that could necessarily answer the bell for what it needed. And then the pitching staff was maybe a little better than you thought it would be, but still not great. Like the rotation played out the way we thought it would for the most part last year. This year, it's not that different. It's just you don't have the workhorses like Kyle Gibson and Lance Lynn that you know are going to be able to get you through those 6 innings, even if it means they gave up 5 runs. And the good news is I think the offense is way better. Like I think Brant Brown's philosophy is working. I think these guys are taking the next step collectively, and then offensively they're going to be a pretty solid team, and they showed that again today. But if you don't have the pitching, and like, again, the starting pitching, this was the first day the starting pitching really faltered, because Wednesday, it faltered, but it was the last pitch by Sonny Gray. Other than that, he was good, and they were good the first turn through. What happens if Palante has a game like Fetty just had? What happens if Michaelis has a game like Fetty just had? It happened last year, especially to Michaelis. What happens? I'll tell you what happens. A lot of Memphis shuttling, and it's going to start soon. It's going to start. Frankly, there's going to be a move for before tomorrow's game, if I had to guess.
Really?
Right? Like someone's going down, someone's coming up. Do they have the guys? Do they have the horses on that Memphis shuttle to form a good bullpen? Because they're going to need it to support what the offense is doing if the rotation is going to have some games like this where you're left picking up the pieces in the end and you scored 9 runs and couldn't get a win out of it.
It's a tough way to start this series. Cardinal fans, tell us what you think. 573-875-KTGR as we now get to be heard on all of our airwaves here. Thanks for joining us on The Big Show right after Cardinals coverage. It's Andy and Brenden and producer Aiden here on The Big Show. And so, we'll see what happens with the Cardinals tomorrow as Andre Palante goes, and then Miles Michaelis on Sunday for the Sunday night baseball game in Boston.
They got to win one of these games. I'm not asking for a lot. You can't get swept. And that's kind of the way, after a game like today, like that's kind of a very low bar to set. But after today, I think the Cardinals would take a split because that ballpark, those pitching matchups, you got 2 guys who are, they're fine pitchers, Palante and Michaelis. They are pitch to contact guys through and through. That is going to be a tricky ask against that lineup in that ballpark.